Mae dyffryn Clwyd gyda'i fryniau gwyrdd tyner wedi leoli yng Ngogledd Ddwyrain Cymru. Yn cysgodi yn y dyffryn hardd hwn mae tref Dinbych a'i chastell canol oesol. A gerllaw mae safle enwog arall, Ysbyty Gogledd Cymru. Agorwyd yr ysbyty ym 1848 ar gyfer 200 o gleifion o wreiddiol. Roedd lleoli'r ysbyty yn Dinbych yn syniad ysbrydoledig, gan fod Dinbych yn dref marchnad llwyddiannus wedi lleoli ar ffordd brysur Iwerddon i Lundain. Oedd ganddi ganolfan masnachol sefydlog, a fasa dim un tref arall wedi gallu cefnogi'r fath fenter. Adeiladwyd yr ysbyty gan grefftwyr lleol gyda cherrig o chwarel y graig, ac mae'r adeiladwaith yn cael ei gyfri'n gampwaith. Yn ei hagwedd at nyrsio roedd yr ysbyty yn chwyldroadol, a daeth yn un o brif ysbytau Prydain yn ei faes, fel y tysti ar staff a rheolwyr hyd heddiw.
One thing that impressed me when I came here was the quality of staff. First priority, in my view, by all grades of staff here was patient care. And I do believe patients here got first-class care.
The rumour was that to get a job here, you had to play a musical instrument or play a sport. I was a soccer player. That's how I came to work here. They needed a goalkeeper in their soccer team, and I got a job as a kitchen porter.
One of the first things I was asked was, do you play a musical instrument? And I said, yes, I do play the piano. There was a grand piano on the ward I worked on, and often used to play and they'd sing and enjoy themselves, you know.
And we had a choir, and we had a band, and to get those patients on that stage, it made my day.
One of my sisters was a nurse here, my mother worked here, and this is where I think they chose for me to come to work. And I'm very grateful for that because I've been very happy here.
Hospital was a factory in its working. Catering was self-sufficient almost, baking bread. The laundry was done here, painting, tinsmith, upholsterers, joiners. Really, most of the upkeep of the hospital was done internally.
We had the farm, that was a type of occupation therapy, a large number of patients. In the early days used to go on the farm and work in the garden. It was, for many years, like a large village. I mean, you can imagine with 1,500 patients here, it was probably larger than the largest village in North Wales.
Cafodd ei hangi sawl gwaith, ond ddiwedd yr 80au gwelwyd fod ysbytau mawr Victorianaidd yn anaddas, a phenderfynwyd cau ysbyty Dinbych. Symudwyd y cleifion o'r ward olaf a cheuwyd yr ysbyty ym 1995.
Look at me and big smiles.
Yes, lovely.
Okay, yeah. There we are.
Rhoddwyd y safle 120 acer ar y farchnad agored, a gwerthwyd y lle gan y gwasanaeth iechyd mewn cyflwr da. Ond erbyn 2002, roedd y safle yn adeilad mewn perygl. Gwerthwyd yr ysbyty eto mewn arwerthiant, ac yn 2005 proddwyd caniatâd cynllunio ar gyfer cynllun cymysg oedd yn cynnwys datblygu, ond ni weithredwyd ar y caniatâd, a daeth yr hawl cynllunio i ben. Yn 2011, cymerodd Cyngor Sir Dinbych drefniadaeth statudol i ddiogelu'r adeilad. O hynny ymlaen, mae'r sir wedi bod yn ceisio sicrhau ateb boddhaol.
Denbighshire County Council has been brilliant, really, in using its statutory powers to move towards a rescue of this building. And it's only because they've served urgent works notices that the repair works that you can see now are happening. And without that, the building would, we know the building, part of the building would have collapsed. And we've been glad to be a partner with them in doing that, really.
Mwyn diogelu rhan hynaf yr adeilad ac atal mwy o ddirywiad, roedd yn rhaid blaenoriaethu, trwy osod to dros dro.
Yes, what we have here
is a new roof structure, which we put in place of the previous timber structure, which had rotted away. So the steel roof structure supports a temporary roof covering of corrugated steel. Now the legislation allows us to only to do the minimum necessary to secure the future of the building. So we haven't gone to any great lengths to make it look pretty. But there is the possibility, subject to getting the necessary listed building consent, that this steel structure could stay in place. And therefore, the money involved in putting it in place hasn't been completely wasted. It could be reused in any future use of the building.
Well, Denbigh Hospital is a really important Grade 2 star listed building, and it's the best example of this building type really in Wales, of a Victorian asylum. Historically very important because it was built to provide care for mentally ill people who were Welsh speaking, so they didn't have to go to England in English speaking asylums. And as you can see, the building is in dire need of viable new uses and repair.
The Prince's Generation Trust is one of the Prince of Wales group of charities that was set up about 15 years ago now to rescue buildings which were beautifully built but which no longer were needed for their existing purpose. And the one that we're working on here, Denbigh Hospital, was just a fantastic example of that. Really beautiful set of buildings, but no need now for a hospital of this size, particularly for a mental hospital, so we need to find a way in which we can rescue and reuse them. Saving these buildings is really important because they're something that is really embedded in the local history of the area. They're really important in people's memories, and many people will have worked there, they've had family that have worked there, and therefore I think if you lose them, you lose something that's part of the identity of a place. There isn't the money to keep very large buildings empty and unused, so there has to be a viable way in which those buildings can be occupied, and that's what the Prince's Generation Trust does. It makes these buildings fit for purpose for the next 100 years.
The building, this part of the building, also shows how the building changed in its lifetime. Over here we have an early use of reinforced concrete, and this column, which I would consider to be very slender for reinforced concrete, but nevertheless has stood the test of time, was constructed in the first decade of the 20th century. And so the original line of the external wall was along the line of this line of columns, and then the building was extended to where the external wall is now. So not only was it an interesting building architecturally, an interesting building from the point of view of social reform, but also an interesting building in the development of building materials and techniques.
Mae'r to arno, mae'r adeilad yn ddiogel. Mae'r rhan gyntaf wedi gyflawni. Mae'r safle a nawr yn gyfle eiraidd ar gyfer datblygu, heb ymharu gormod ar gymeriad y safle unigryw.
I think one other important aspect is it isn't just a fine Grade 2 star listed building, it's the setting of the buildings. As you come out of Denbigh and you see the hospital, it's a really fine parkland setting which any scheme that happens here must protect. So we're very keen that setting is preserved.